G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing David Dilger, who's a partner at Edge Legal based in Hobart, Australia. And today we're going to be discussing the importance of understanding people. So thanks for your time, Dave.
Thanks, Michael. Glad to be aboard.
Now, we met each other many years ago. We're sort of, as Tasmania is, it's one step away from separation. We've sort of known mutual people over many years, but more recently, a few years ago, we've started working together, which has been great. Love working with you and Rod and helping grow your business. And so it's been a good relationship so far.
Yeah, we've caught up over coffee, and then we just started working together. And certainly we recognised as part of our business that we needed a business coach. It's all about accountability for us.
Yeah, which is so important, right? And I love this topic. If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. A truism, and couldn't agree more. So tell our audience a bit about yourself and your experience on this topic.
Yeah, so look, I'm a lawyer by trade, and I've always had a fascination for the employment side of the law. My parents ran a small business, and I understood that from those organic circumstances right from the word go of how important your people were. Then I did a bit of study. I did an MBA, and I focused again on human resource management, and I went through ARI, initially did a certificate in people management, and then went on to do the MBA specialising. But then I went off and worked for an employer rep for the TCCI, part of the Australian Chamber Network, for a number of years, just doing employment matters. And then I came out as an actual HR manager. So what tended to happen in those days, you would work for a number of employers, and eventually one of them would pick you up, and I went in-house. And then I left that organisation, became a CEO of a franchise network, which was a fantastic learning opportunity for me. During that time, we actually were a state winner and national finalist. I got picked at the post for the Human Resources People Management Award. And then after that, I went back into the Employment Association, and then went back into the law, to where I was a partner of a fairly big 17-partner law firm, and then out on my own with my business partner, Rod Collinson, and we've been running Edge Legal. Started with 6 people, and now we're 13, and been going for about 4 years.
Yeah, well, certainly, you've come the full circle, right? And along the way, a lot of different experiences, which is awesome. And having worked with you on both sides of the table, so to speak, because we've used Edge Legal. I think you adopt a really practical approach. Obviously, the law piece is important, but the practicalities and getting your clients to understand the implications in a user-friendly way, let me put it that way, I think is really powerful. So what are the key implications that small business owners should be aware of with respect to understanding people?
Well, what we've changed our model in terms of going to court or relying on formulaic type things, templates and stuff like that just doesn't work. So what our message is, become a results with respect workplace. And what that means, if you're a results with respect workplace, you stop using formulaic approaches. You use a people first mentality to all you do, and that that involves firstly becoming self-aware of how you manage people, having what I call full ownership of your management of people, so that you don't look just for the mistakes of people. You actually ask, how as a manager am I treating people? And then you tailor your responses in everything you do to actually fit with those people, or the people you're dealing with, their personality styles. Once you know how they behave, what basically floats their boat, you will become a more effective manager. And we've really tried to take the businesses we work with away from this one-size-fits-all approach. It just doesn't work. In our experience, and Rod and I spend a lot of time in the Fair Work Commission and all of these types of other tribunals, that the reality is on most occasions, it's a breakdown on effective communication and a breakdown on respectful management, which causes most unnecessary conflict. We don't shy away from the fact that conflict of itself is sometimes a good thing in a workplace. That tension can bring out new ideas, all that type of thing. But when you have unnecessary or unmanaged conflict, you need to break the shackles. And that can only be right back to that line which I stole from Simon Sinek, and that is, if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. And trying to take a process approach to what is essentially just a people game is putting the cart before the horse. And we've worked with all of our clients on a results with respect approach to people management.
So is your role sort of partly a coaching role in that context, Dave? Is that?
Yeah, well, it's sort of changed away from being pure legal advisor to actually managing people and assisting the businesses we work with on resolving their issue. Most of them come to us seeking a legal solution. You either want to, remove yourself from a situation or have an employee removed from a situation. But what we've sort of focused is, well, how do you get there? Because writing things like warning letters and doing performance improvement plans by themselves are pretty much a process approach. And we're saying a people approach has got to be regular, ongoing discussions with your direct reports. And you don't get that by writing a letter to them. But managers have pretty much either lost the art of doing it or they've become too scared to do it. And so we've spent a lot of time, and a lot of our business is actually training managers on how to manage people. We see a lot that managers are actually probably the best technicians somewhere, and they get promoted up, and no one's taken them through the fine art of actually understanding themselves and then understanding the people they work with. And right back again to that part, if you don't understand yourself and how you manage people, there's half the problem. And then if you don't understand how your team needs to be managed, there's the other half of the problem. And pretty much the issue is probably 1 or 2% of the actual thing that has to be managed. It's the people involved. And I suppose from a lawyer, that sounds all a little bit weird, but I say our results speak for themselves, and we're certainly finding people are coming on board with that results with respect approach. Culture now is so significant in why people stay, when generically other places can offer you the same pay, the same conditions, the same workplace. The culture differentiates it.
Yeah, and I think studies have shown, I think it's 70% of people leave managers, not the business. So to your point, so coming back to, I guess, understanding yourself as well as the individual employees is certainly important, and how you're dealing with them, and improve the likelihood of its success, right? So there's no point having just a checklist and going through a process. Is there any sort of 1 or 2 key tips for our listeners in that regard, as far as how they could go about that?
Look, there's a multitude of things out there. I mean, we prefer DISC because it's what I call Sesame Street simple, right? It's based on colours, you got the 4 letters. And look, I've done Myers-Briggs, I've done Enneagram, I've done all of those other things, and they're all fantastic in their own path. But if you're looking for usability, first up, we say DISC. I mean, I can train an organisation in about 2 hours, or their managers, so that they'll at least have a basic understanding of themselves and might understand their closest in their team or their family members. And that's readily usable. And for a lot of it, we're just saying that's the bit. If managers have to invest too much into it, they're too busy. And they're just saying, oh, I've got too many other things operationally to do. Give me something which I can pretty much use right now. And we just think DISC is the appropriate tool for workplaces to understand people so that they can understand their business.
And is that something that small business owners can just purchase, say, online, or what's the?
Yeah, look, this is the other great thing about DISC. Everyone's got, and there's so much free resource available already on the internet. You can do your own DISC profile off the internet for free. And where we say with all of this, though, is the real magic starts to happen once you start actually personally applying it in your personal life, in your work life, however you want to do it. We've worked with gyms, we've worked with big retail organisations, we've worked with electricity retailers, all of these sort of businesses, architects, a whole range of businesses on how do you use this? So not only managing your team, but dealing with clients in general. So the availability of materials, there's videos on this. It's really, really user friendly, and that's another advantage of it.
Be the change you want to see in your business. Become more productive and less stressed with our free Transform Your Performance online course. Once you see the benefits, put your entire team through the course at no cost. We start out by telling you the secret to guaranteed success, then over 100 lessons help you be more focused, present, productive, and feel more in control about work. growasmallbusiness.com.
Sounds like a good investment for small business owners, right?
Yeah, look, right back to the start. If you come to me as a lawyer and you're saying, how do you avoid this stuff? I'm saying, don't invest in things like templates for warning letters and termination. I'm saying the real issue is teach your people how to manage people. The investment is small. The payback is enormous because it just keeps on revolving around. As people get to know each other, they understand each other better. The mistakes that they make in terms of pitching to someone the wrong type of pitch is significant. So we're sort of saying, if you've got what I call, this high dominance type leader who's great, they're assertive, they're quick decision makers, they're strong-willed. Problem is, though, other people might see them as aggressive, impatient, insensitive. So how do we get that balance? Because everyone's got both a strength and a weakness, and sometimes it's your overused strength, like being overly aggressive, that becomes your weakness. You might have what I call the distractor, and high networkers, enthusiastic, sociable, but they can often be lacking in details, not having follow through and distracted. How do I use that person who's great social glue to actually use their skills instead of annoying others? You might have someone who's this great consultative person. They're stable, they're patient as leaders, but others might see them as not having follow through, being indecisive, lacking authority. How do we get that balance right? And similarly, you might have a person who's technically very, very good. They're systematic, they're accurate, but when they work with others, they come across as critical, inflexible, aloof. And when you're pitching to those people, you turn up to a meeting and you haven't got your agenda, the points and the paperwork. Those people are going to be quite, upset about the process, and you're unlikely to be effective when someone is going, I'm not reading what you're putting down for me. Not because I don't want to, It's because you don't understand me, and you don't understand what floats my boat. And it's only in those circumstances that you can actually really be effective. So, I've just given you just a snapshot of what you're working with, but that all requires a whole range of different management approaches. You come into the high dominance person and you start pitching them solutions. That's not going to work as well as allowing them to pitch the solutions. You go in with the high influence person and start, telling them all the problems or not being on side with finding a solution. And they're suddenly going to find, I can't work here. I'm feeling constricted. You go to the person who needs to build rapport and work on the group and asking them what they want. They don't know what they want. They know what the group wants. So focus on that. And then finally, you go with the person who might come across as a bit of a micromanager or a bit of a technocrat, and you're giving them all solutions based on big picture ideas. And they're saying, no, just tell me what the rules are. Now, they can all be the same approach in terms of pitching to that individual with those styles, but the focus has got to be tailored. The focus has to be tailored, or otherwise you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, really good tip. And I know I've found with many businesses I've worked with, the managers good technically, but not necessarily taught, coached, shown how to manage. So all of the aspects you've been talking about certainly would come in handy. And I think one of those key things to make sure the managers are trained appropriately to manage people, not just do the doing.
Well, it's what they're screaming out for. And like, I know you'd mentioned some stats before, but HR, international HR had a bit of a look at this a while ago, and the number one thing that will make you a more effective manager, and you can take this one to the bank, is manage a poor performer or poor performance, right? That's what your team is begging a manager to do. It gives psychosocial safety, and it's their expectation. So if I will walk into any workplace, everybody in the team know who is the poor performer. The problem with that is that whole team is looking for that manager to solve that problem. And so if you're looking for immediate results, teach those managers on how to manage poor performers and poor performance. And there's your secret sauce to team harmony, effectiveness for that individual manager. And every manager wants to do the right thing ultimately by their people, but often they just don't know how. And that's the number one thing they're screaming out for. It's better than money. It's better than just listening to people. It's better than giving feedback. That's the outcome that people need. And if you don't know how to do it, you've suddenly just taken away your number one tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. Some great insights for small business owners. So just in wrapping up, what is at least one thing you'd recommend a small business owner does based on your knowledge and experience?
I would say if your team don't know themselves and their team, you might as well forget it. Buy yourself a lottery ticket, because you are just into the lottery. You have to understand it. Once your team starts understanding their managers and vice versa, that is the secret sauce of a respectful workplace, and the answers will come from there. Don't worry about investing in performance improvement plans, template letters, this type of thing, until you've done that first. The process comes after you work firstly on a people first outcome, then you get your principles, then you get your process. Most businesses go process, and that is missing the most two fundamental aspect. And number one is focus on your people first. And if you don't understand people, you cannot understand your business.
Yep, great stuff, mate. Well, thanks for your time. I think our listeners get a lot out of this conversation, and no doubt see you soon.
Thanks, Michael. Good luck.
And for our audience, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc., so more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.